My mom is an FE Dom, so obviously she and I are gonna have a lot of fights because we both care about feelings so much, but we care about them in completely different ways. And so my dad being like inferior FE and my mom being FE Dom, it really like basically I grew up in this polarity of FE, and I'm an FI user. I'm like, help me, someone help me. Okay, so hi guys, welcome to the INFP corner, and I am an INFP. Okay, so today I wanted to take some time to talk about a very, very important topic, which is FI, my dominant function, versus FE. And specifically, in particular, my personal experience growing up with parents that are both FE. So my mother is ENFJ and my father is INTP. Okay, before we get into this, here's why I think this is so important. It's like if your parents or children or even just your friends have the opposite judging axis as you, meaning one is FITE and the other is TIFE, then there's a lot of room for misunderstanding, and there can be a lot of conflict and pain, and you can avoid, or not avoid, but you can feel better about all of this if you just kind of understand the dynamics more, so you can understand the other person more. Okay, so mom being ENFJ, father being INTP, and you're like, okay, so the INTP is repressing their FE, so it's not really like an FE household. But as we've talked about before, your inferior functions, sometimes when you're stressed out, your inferior or repressed function can really explode. So sometimes my dad would have these like explosive bursts of FE, usually when he was very angry. When I was growing up, I always thought that my parents are great, but they're not really giving me any emotional support. And I was always really like rather resentful about it. But now that I learn more about MBTI, I realized that, oh my gosh, they were trying to give me emotional support, and they were giving me emotional support, but in their own ways, and I didn't understand that way. The most important thing is that we all want people to care, right? Caring is really important. You care about your loved ones. So the huge difference here, I think, is that the FI user thinks of caring as understanding. Like, are you trying to understand me more, understand me deeply? Whereas the FE user thinks of caring as being positive, support, emotional support, always. So it sounds kind of similar, but they're totally different. So for example, I'm doing this YouTube channel, right? So they don't really watch any of the videos to get a sense of what they're like. They're just like, oh yeah, you have a YouTube channel, that's great, yay! FE, extroverted feeling, is always emotionally intentional, so they want to get to like an emotional end result, so they're gonna behave in order to achieve that emotional goal. So sometimes the FI user, this can feel like a shortcut. I went through this teenage stage of, I guess, dressing like very provocatively. Like, we all go through this, come on. My mom was like, okay, so stop it. First of all, stop it. And second, what are you trying to get by dressing like this? I was like, okay, nothing. So that was just an example of how I felt like dressing a certain way, and I was just kind of expressing myself. Obviously, there are consequences to like doing certain things, but for the emotional sphere, I don't really think about the consequences of being happy or sad or whatever in a situation. I'm just kind of expressing myself, and in her mind, she immediately thought of my emotional or like visual expression as something that had an intended goal, which was not in my head at all. So it's really important to just understand where the other access user is coming from. It's not that they're bypassing understanding you because they don't care. It can feel like they don't care sometimes, but they're, I guess, sometimes bypassing the understanding because they already love and support you as a person. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is argument diffusion or argument solving. This is super important because wow, do these types solve arguments differently. Sometimes you're not even arguing about what the thing is, you're arguing about how you're going about arguing. And that is the most frustrating of all. Going with emotional intentions, when the FE user is done with an argument, they're done. They just want to shift your emotional mood from negative to positive. So, and the FI user wants to discuss, they want to understand why we emotionally fucked up in the first place. So I want to like explain my layers of emotions to them. And since it's a conflict, my layers of emotion are negative. So they're thinking like, they see some negative expression and they're like, why do you want to keep arguing about this one thing? Because since they have emotional intentions, they also think that you have emotional intentions, which is not true for the FI user. So the FE user is like, why are you being negative? Whereas, like, why are you being negative? I want to get over this conflict already. Whereas the FI user can't get over the conflict without understanding it first. And this can cause some mind-blowing disagreements. So all throughout growing up, when me and mom would have a fight, after a few hours, she would just act like nothing's happened. Like, oh, here's some food. Take some food. Please have some food. Like, cheerful, normal again. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, and then I'm like, but mom, remember that fight that we had? Like, let's talk about it. And she would get angry again because I would want to dwell in the negativity. But to me, it's not dwelling in the negativity. It's just understanding this problem so we don't have this problem in the future. That's basically it. Like, how to solve this problem, I have no idea. I don't think there is a way to solve this problem other than understanding each other. Yeah, like the FE user and the FI user are operating in different modes and they're always gonna operate in different modes. It doesn't mean that they can't get along, it just means that we have to understand the other person and how they're operating. And then we can be more tolerant, we can be more accepting of the way that they show their emotions. Okay, yes, that's it. Thank you for tuning in to the INFP Corner. If you're new to this channel, I am Calypso. I'm an INFP. I make these videos every week. So hope you enjoyed them and let me know what you thought in the comments, what your experiences with people of the opposite judging axis is. And hope to see you next time.